Hi everyone, and welcome back to Talking Points with KPI, episode 33. Today is another blog-style podcast. We went over pitching last week. Today, obviously, I have two new guests, Curtis to my left, Chase to my right. We're going to be going over Chase's hitting winter review. So what we'll do is we'll go over each topic, and if you want to get more granular in your search, please go to the website kpimh.com. Go look at the blog, test it out for yourself. We're going to get right into it. So the first thing we're going to kind of look at it's a 2021 to 2022, their hitting results kind of base, and we're going to go over exit velocity. So Chase, if you want to go right in.
Yeah, so we had basically an eight-week program, and then we were just talking about this. It was the last part of that, the last 3 weeks was live ABs, right? Like last 2 to 3 weeks is live ABs. So we had an average increase about 2.8 miles an hour in those 8 weeks. So you can count it 6, right? All that being said, and then 73.7% of guys increased their average exit velocity.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of things that go into that, and I think, Kurt, you can speak to this. I think we challenged the guys a lot more this winter than we did last winter, and to see still similar results was a big deal.
Yeah. So Curtis, I'm going to run it to you now. So we talked about this a lot in previous podcasts and how CLA really works in this facility. Obviously, these numbers back that up. Talk about some of the things that your hitters have been doing to increase that velocity.
Yeah, well, it starts with just them being bought into our system, right? Starting from the outside to movement, stability drills, to some of their T-specific drills, and then coming into the cages. So them being bought into our system here, starting from the fall and then getting real granular in the winter leading up to season, has helped. We're creating an environment here, offset machines, velo ladder, giving them challenging constraints for them to figure it out, right? We always want to train in here way more difficult so that when they do go to the game or on field, we want that to be able to be easy and free to them. So whatever we're doing in here is definitely challenging, and I think these kids, they grasp it and they compete, which is nice to see. And then overall, within our hitting system, these kids have started to understand the importance of asking questions on, why they're doing certain drills, or, why do you want me to move like this, and so, props to all our staff, for putting them into different, techniques, drills, or the environment, and I feel like that has got the kids to buy in even more, is just our approach and how we handle that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, trying to get as individual as we possibly can, with also understanding that it's not going to matter if you don't compete. Yeah. And I think that's why I wanted to start off bringing up that we did challenge these guys more. Kurt was throwing to him a bunch in the live ABs, but to still get the increases that we want, right? And still get, max increasing 3 miles an hour and basically a 6-week program is insane. And so, but part of that too is getting the kids to understand what their swing can and cannot do.
Yes.
What we were doing to get the weaknesses better,
yes,
but then also what we're doing to get the strengths better, and then how to compete in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hard dynamic in a one-on-one environment, let alone the environment we have in here. But I think we do a very good job, and I like that. Props to the staff for helping us out with all that, because it is. Absolutely. Kids do get challenged. There's never an easy day here, and it's a joke now at this point, right? You're never gonna get something easy.
So now that we kind of touched on exit velocity and the things we do for that. There's a lot of other things that are labeled in the blog itself. I'll let you go over one that you want to talk about, Chase.
Yeah, so bat speed. So here's it's the easiest thing in the world, and I know it can get a little overwhelming when it comes to the tech stuff, but let's make it super simple. What we know and what we've seen is the higher your bat speed, the higher your exit velo is.
Yes.
The higher your bat speed, the higher your average exit velo, let alone your max exit velo. The harder you hit the ball, the more likely it is to be a hit.
Yes.
And the more natural that is as you go through, right, then your mistakes can be successful. And this game is not about being perfect.
Yes.
Right? And so giving you the biggest room for error, not only in the path of your barrel, but how fast that comes through, is a big, big deal. And so part of this with the program is being able to understand okay, regardless of what individual bucket that you're in, what increases are we actually seeing in bat speed even when we're not focusing on it?
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is still again in that basically 6 to 8 week program, we're seeing a 3 mile an hour increase in bat speed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so and that's a big deal. And these kids to where it's like we can measure the fact that what we're doing is working, and we're not. This is not opinion based.
And just for those of you out there who are wondering, well, how does KPI and all these hitters get all this data? We use a situation called Blast. Shout out to Blast. They track all this stuff for us. We get the data. Chase goes in, manually does the review himself. So that's where all these numbers are coming from. And also it mentions that in the blog. So just in case if you're getting a little out of context, that's what we're alluding to. So now we're going to go keep on moving, and we're just going to go. I want to go into, you guys do a little something different with how you guys do your metrics. You guys break it up into two parts, right? Your post-contact and your pre-contact metrics, which I think are very important for hitters nowadays to understand.
Sure.
Because a lot of them think as a whole, okay, my whole swing is just one thing.
Yeah.
It's very different now because people understand that if you break your swing up into two parts, you can actually guarantee success in both parts,
right,
which is what you guys have found. So go into a little bit of that.
Yeah, it's the irony of what normally happens where we work on mechanics and then it doesn't happen in game, and so then we go back to mechanics, but we measure what happens in game, but we don't measure what happens in mechanics. And so this is the idea, that we want to build is like, I have to know what my swing is doing so I know what my swing can produce.
Yes.
I have to know how my swing works and like what are the metrics that we want to get to. I mean, there's so much data out there now. We can see, okay, so what does a D1, D2, D3 player look like? What does a minor league player look like? What does an MLB player look like? Pre-contact and post-contact. Yeah. And then be able to say, hey, look, like when your swing is like this is what happens. Yeah. Right? And then this is where we're going. Because the kids, these young kids, they care about exit velo, and that's all they care about.
They care about the big numbers for the exit velo,
and that's
distance.
cool. And you can use that to your advantage to help a kid understand why we're doing drills that we're doing, and why we are doing certain situations or environments that we're doing. And that is what gets the kid to understand and take responsibility, not only of his swing, but his development in his swing. And then we're there along the way to help him out.
For sure. And so, Curtis, I'm going to jump to you now. So and I think we've touched on this before in the past, but maybe not with you, Curtis. So you see these kids a lot, and we talk about it. It's becoming a joke now, right? That these kids struggle a lot in here, and that's for a reason. But how have you seen them kind of switch the attitude mindset and come around and be like, okay, this is for a purpose. I'm going to stick with it. Because nowadays, a lot of kids go in and or even parents nowadays, hey, if my kid's not having success in the facility, what am I bringing him in for?
No, for sure. Well, number one, we picked the wrong sport, right? If we always want success. And, that's the beauty of this, whether it's in here or at a field, is this game, will teach you failure, just like life, So they understand that, I know we kind of harp on it, but we're also here to uplift them, and show them little victories, in each cage, right? We have 3 tunnels in here. Most of them will be challenging, but the one that never changes is their front toss drill work machine, right? So we do it off a machine, which is a constraint in itself, making the front toss drills a bit challenging. But they embrace their drill work, and it's you see the focus level, their intent level, right? Especially in the winter time when season is around the corner, is you start to see them dial in more, right? Is we only have a 45-minute session of hitting in the cages, so they want to get as much swings as they can in that limited time. But you also see they also want quality swings, right? Because they know we are getting data on each swing, right? So, you start to see them check in and out, even step out of the box, which is nice to see. So it's challenging, but we want that. We want them to be critical thinkers in the box, right? Is swing decision, right? Is we're not here telling kids to swing at every pitch off the machine, is not every pitch is going to be in their sweet spot, right? So we also are big on good takes. If a hitter is in the main cage off the machine, right, and we see a good take, like that's big props because we see that they're dialed in, they're looking to do something, right, and that approach starts to come in. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been seeing from these guys.
So now I'm going to jump it kind of way back, and I asked the pitchers this, or not the pitchers, sorry, Justin and Cameron this. So they had talked about how early on it was really hard to get a review, right? Numbers are kind of skewed. Data is kind of all over the place. I want to go to you, Chase, and talk about how even at the beginning of KPI, how this is our mission and trying to get data out to the people so that they can see in a actual form with their own eyes that people are actually getting better in the facility. Yeah. How has that and that, I mean, the review changed for you along the way?
Well, it's definitely gotten a lot more seamless as we get through, as you just get kind of used to it. But it's, the nice part about the hitting side, just being pre-contact and post-contact and stuff like that, is it does make it easier to keep things relatively straightforward.
Yes.
And it's the funny part is as we get better at getting all this data, the visibility of what's happening is a lot easier. And that's really what we've been doing, right? Is like we start off getting a bunch of data and we're seeing what's happening, right? And we're understanding, oh, this guy says this guy says that, right?
Yeah.
There are absolutes to hitting that now we can measure. And so these are the things that now we can see as we go through. I can get all this data and understand what's happening, and so can the kid. And then the communication from the staff to the kid has gotten a lot smoother. And then as we go through, it just makes it easier to get from point A to point B. We're just trying to make better hitters.
Just trying
right?
to close the gap.
Yeah, exactly. We're closing the gap, and we're seeing that across the board with the reports. And even back in the day, where we were seeing that, and now it's, as we get better and better at it, it's only getting better.
Absolutely. So I want to go this might cause into something more to talk about, but kind of our last piece of this conversation. We're going to go into post-contact metrics now.
Yeah.
So that we have amazing technology in the facility. Shout out to HitTrax, and now shout out to TrackMan for giving us the ability to do this data. But how have you seen, and Curtis, if you want to jump on this too, how have you seen that data? Because obviously for the kids, that's like their biggest thing. How can I see my ball go as far as it possibly can?
They love it.
So how have you seen that side of the data stay scientific, but also kind of get more childish, I guess you could say?
Yeah, I mean, it's, this is part of being a coach, is understanding what you want kids to focus on. I mean, we've turned HitTrax off on, or the TV for HitTrax off on kids, because I don't want them to focus on it. If they, they give too much of a crap about it, well, and that affects that they're hitting, well, then we got to change that. Like, we still want to get the numbers, but, it's interesting because as the kids start to understand why we do all these things, those outside issues kind of go away.
Okay.
Because the HitTrax is fantastic, but being able to just give the visual and kind of gamify it makes it a lot easier for them to progress to the challenge that we have for them that day.
Yeah, and I don't want to cut you off, but I'll give Curtis props on the youth side. I've seen you create games inside of this HitTrax, which obviously the HitTrax has the capability to do, but for someone to set, like you said, for a coach to be able to set that up and make that an applicable thing to training, and not only give them a sense of fun in a game, but for them to be in a facility and be like, oh, hey, that ball was pieced, that's a double down the line. Like that, I've seen you do that personally. So talk about how you've seen the youth kind of grab onto that at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, the gamification part of it, right? I mean, that's the beauty of this high-tech stuff, right? HitTrax, and now we have TrackMan. It's a video game. When kids come in, it's a big sell point. It's like, who doesn't like that? I literally let people know, like, our facility is Disneyland for baseball and softball, specific skill training, because you have every gadget in here, and not even on the tech side. It's just the environment we have created here. It's a fun culture to be around. We get to work, and we'll get on you, if we do see you slacking off here and there, but we want, at the end of the day, it's more than baseball. We're big mentors to these kids. Is we want them to have fun here and understand that they're chasing down what they're passionate about. And that's what we are as coaches. Is we're passionate about this game, but we're also passionate to share value to these kids on what we've already been through. We've already done the grind. We're still doing the grind, but on the other spectrum of it, and we're trying to give back to these kids. So just speaking on the HitTrax and TrackMan and gamifying things, is we always want to keep it fun and light at times. Where we are giving them challenging drills, and we want to give them something, an incentive in a way, we'll do a game here, we'll do a stinger round, right?
Yeah.
A stinger round is, if we as the judge, right, seeing their velos is, if the kid, it's a hard hit ball, they'll stay in, and if they keep going, they can go all the way to 10, or if they're one and done, they're one and done. But you see that competitiveness come in. We can get into situational hitting off of HitTrax, which has been valuable, doing sack flies, hitting behind the runner, stuff like that. I think the other big factor too, even on all ages, is our targets. You know, giving these kids an external goal on, you know, the pitch that day. You know, where to hit the ball. We give them a target specifically, and so you see them. You know, you see them fighting in there in the box, and you know, trying to get their path that way, and it's cool to see. You know, and
I'm gonna cut you off before you. But what Curtis is talking about, KPI, the coaches have done a fantastic job of making the facility applicable to games. And so when Curtis says targets, they actually have targets that are strung up to the roof in the netting that kids can actually either throwing or hitting can attest and try to hit that. So that's what he's talking about when he says targets.
Yeah. And it's almost like we play a game in general, which is the crazy part, right? So we're just playing to the same thing, you know, playing to the game itself.
Yes.
And it makes it a lot of fun for us, you know, to like get on them or talk some crap or whatever, like have some fun, and then like also be able to kind of get creative for us as coaches, and you know, so everybody's having a good time and split them up with the teams, and it's fantastic. And I'm very happy with the results of this program, and a lot of that is all of that is a testament to the kids and the work that they put in.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is setting up an environment so the kids want to work hard, and then the kids get better and they buy in, and then, you know, then we basically keep going with that same model, and then we see what happens and be able to adjust and get better. You know, I mean, that's the idea, is continually trying to adapt, as not only for myself and for Curtis as hitting coaches, but then, you know, understanding the population that we're dealing with and being able to make it more applicable to them.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
I think we did it all. Go ahead.
I do.
Yeah.
No, just to, you know, for the coming future here soon is our summer program. You know, I know Chase and I have been meeting weekly about it. You know, we have a lot of new things coming, you know, with TrackMan now involved this summer. We've been doing a lot of tests this spring, and so we're really looking forward to it. So be looking here, you know, obviously we're a few months away still, but be checking for emails on our summer program, because it will fill up, you know, so just be receiving our email campaign, our Instagram. You know, big shout out to Noah and the marketing team. They've been doing a great job assisting that. So just be on the lookout for that, you know, with our summer program coming around the corner here soon.
Yep. All right. Thank you guys very much for listening to Talking Points with KPI, episode number 33, the winter hitting review done by Chase, our very own hitting coach, and Curtis to join us to talk about it. If you want to visit, like I said, and get more granular in the vlog, please visit kpimh.com. Go to the blog tab. It should be the first one right there, the newest one. Hitting winter review should be right there on the label. Please go follow us on all our social medias, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We'll see you guys next time.
Wake up.